let's just go for it. Let's just shoot the shit and see what happens here. Salutations, my friends. I'm TheMightyMander, and we've got some more Mass Effect news to talk about today. So, a couple days ago, Bioware released a new blog post on the PlayStation blog and the EA blog, and right now I'm looking at it on the the EA website. Basically going over some more details about Mass Effect Legendary Edition and what they've done to change it. Specifically, they're going over a lot of the changes in Mass Effect 1. And some that are consistent throughout the entire trilogy. But it's basically a more detailed look at the changes that they're making for Mass Effect Legendary Edition in comparison to the original trilogy. And a lot of this stuff has me really excited, so I wanted to talk about it today. So let's just go through the list here that they've got on the Bioware website, or the EA website. And we're just going to go through it kind of line by line and see what they've got going on. So the first thing is combat tuning. I don't need luck. I have ammo. I love how they're calling them out with with really like iconic lines from the series. Okay, so combat in the Mass Effect trilogy has evolved across the series, with each game's experience being different. We wanted to make the experience better across the board, but we didn't want to unnecessarily change what our fans have come to love about each game. That proved a unique challenge, as the first game is quite different from the second and third in terms of gameplay and combat. Mass Effect was heavily influenced by traditional RPG mechanics like the randomness of a dice roll and pen and paper stat building. As a result, weapons in Mass Effect often felt less accurate and reliable than the gunplay in Mass Effect 2 and 3. That's true, it was a lot more stat-based and less about, making sure each weapon felt distinct. It was more about just, increasing stats and, modding your weapons, and they all kind of felt the same. In the first Mass Effect, they talk about accuracy, including reticle bloom and weapon sway, has been tuned across all weapons to allow players to maintain more consistent firepower while still managing their shots and overheat meter. Improved the aim down sights, so that's more accurate like in the second and third games. We've improved the aim assist. Abilities have been rebalanced. The following overview lists gameplay changes we made specifically to the first Mass Effect with the goal of bringing it a bit more in line with the rest of the trilogy. Now, sprint out of combat. That's pretty good, because I remember in the first game, basically, if you held the sprint button, it would bring you to the sprint camera, but you would still just be kind of jogging along at regular pace. And it was really weird. I never really understood. I never actually knew whether it made you faster, and I never, it was never clear. It was always a really, really weird addition. Melee attacks are now mapped to a button press rather than automatically occurring based on proximity to an enemy. That's big. That's very good. Melee was a weird thing in Mass Effect 1, and it was really, really inconsistent and not reliable at all, which for certain missions where you have to take a non-lethal approach if you want to be go through the Korragan approach, that can be a problem, because you've only got so many of those knockout gas grenades and you've got to do melee for the rest of it. So, weapon sway removed from sniper rifles. That's big. So, just being straight up removed is kind of wild. I wouldn't have necessarily expected that. Weapon sway from sniper rifles. Was there weapon sway in Mass Effect 2 and 3 in sniper rifles at all? I feel like there wasn't. So yeah, maybe this is just to, make it more in line with second and third. Aiming down sights, tight aim camera view has been improved, and improved aim assist. So yeah, just general combat improvements, right? All relevant enemies now take headshot damage in the first game. Previously, some did not, including humanoid enemies. That's good. That just, makes it more of that's just something you would expect out of a fucking video game. That absolutely should have been in there from the beginning. Ammo mods can now drop throughout the whole game. Previously, these stopped dropping at higher player levels. What? They are also now available to purchase from merchants, which I thought they were before. That's weird. Okay. All weapons can be used by any class without penalty. Specializations, the ability to train and upgrade certain weapons, so that basically meaning that it's everybody can use every weapon and do, the penalty was that you couldn't aim down sights with anything that you were untrained in, which was really, really awful. I never ever liked that mechanic, so it's basically if you want to use all the weapons, you have to be a soldier, and that's really lame. But the fact that it's still okay, certain classes specialize in certain weapons, I do like that. Weapons cool down much faster. Okay. I think generally, a lot of the base mechanics in Mass Effect 1 were really, really challenging, and kind of for no reason. That's why, I never ever tried tackling Mass Effect 1 on the highest difficulty, just because it was so challenging already. There was a lot in Mass Effect 1 that was, already inherently very challenging, seemingly by design. So the higher difficulties were just wild. Like, it was just too much. So we'll have to see how this change affects the balance of the game. But I think this might make it a little bit easier for players to play on higher difficulties and, you know, not feel like everything is kind of inherently unfair. Inventory management improvements. Items can now be flagged as junk, which is big. This is just a quality of life thing that you see in lots and lots of games these days, where it's like you flag everything that you don't want as junk. You can sell it or dismantle it all at once. So that's good. That's a good change. Inventory and stores now have sorting functionality. That's pretty cool too. So you don't have to just sort through everything and find what you want. You can like sort, okay, I want a weapon, I want an assault rifle, I want a piece of armor, like that kind of thing. Some abilities have been rebalanced. Weapon powers, those that are unlocked on each weapon type skill tree have been improved. Effectiveness and strength is increased. Heat now resets on power activation. What? So, like, for example, something like you're using assault rifles and you use marksman. I think that's what the ability's called. And now resets the heat? That's interesting. Ooh, we get to see some of the lighting improvements here. See, I like this. I like the new UI. It feels like, you know, obviously it looks a lot more like, you know, the second and third games, and there was like a distinct charm to the UI in the old game. Like it's very, very iconic, you know, to a lot of Mass Effect fans. And some people aren't really too hyped about the changes to the UI, but I'm all for it. Like I think, like, you know, the original Mass Effect still exists. It's not going anywhere. But this new version, I think, you know, it just makes it more modern, and like, you know, the UI is much more in line with the other games, and it feels more consistent. And I'm digging the new UI. We'll see how it feels when I'm actually playing the game, but I do like the look of it. Other targeted combats upgrades we've made include squad mates can now be commanded independently of each other in the first Mass Effect, the same way you can command them individually in Mass Effect 2 and 3. That's pretty cool. I like that. So I'm guessing that means like, yeah, in the first game, if you hit like up on the D-pad, both of your teammates would go to a certain point. So now I'm guessing it means that you can like hit left or right on the D-pad and command your teammates independently to go certain places, which is pretty cool. Some boss fights and enemies have been tweaked to be fair, but still challenging. That's just balance. Cover has been improved across the trilogy. Additional cover added to some encounters. Entering and exiting cover is now more reliable. Okay, I'm down with that. Just general gameplay improvements. I think this can especially be good in the first game. Because cover is like not a viable system in the first game at all. XP has been rebalanced in the first game. Details below. Ammo drops have been rebalanced in Mass Effect 2. XP gained during the first game has been rebalanced for better consistency, especially towards the game's end. Players who complete most aspects of the game should be able to more reliably get to higher levels in a single playthrough rather than needing to play through a second time to do so. Additionally, there is no longer a level cap on a first playthrough. Ooh, that's interesting. So it's like kind of negating, like, to play really high level Mass Effect 1, you had to do more than one playthrough. So it seems like they're kind of negating that, which is cool. I like that. So final gunplay change, we tweak ammunition in Mass Effect 2. We found that ammo was spawning too scarcely in the original game, so we've increased the drop rate for ammo in ME2, particularly when using a sniper rifle, since it had a reduced ammo drop rate. I love snipers in Mass Effect, so that's really good change for me. I can't really recall an instance where I would like only on higher difficulties. I specifically remember in Mass Effect 2, I was playing on a soldier class on the highest difficulty, and I was constantly running out of ammo. So much so that I got like halfway through the game and I'm like, fuck, there's nothing I can do. Like, I'm always running out of ammo. This is not fun. So I started over as an infiltrator class, so I had more offensive powers that I could use when I ran out of ammo. So that's good. That's really good. It should just let, you know, anybody play however they want. The Mako. Ooh, the infamous Mako. It's been calibrated to perform better than ever. Yeah, and we'll look at some video like showing this in a little bit. It does look a lot smoother. Like, some people, like a lot of, like, I see some, you know, some news outlets and some podcasts talking about, and I think this is a totally valid perspective. Like, I'm not, like, you know, negating anybody's perspective on this at all, but some people seem to be attached to the jankiness of the old Mako. and like, you know, think that improving it could make it like a little bit more dull, a little bit more boring, not as interesting. I don't think I necessarily agree with that, just because, like, yes, it is nostalgic. For me, personally, the Mako is nostalgic in the same way that everything about Mass Effect is nostalgic. Like, it was a part of my formative years in getting into gaming. Like, of course it's going to be nostalgic. But I think it can still live up to that nostalgia without being the same broken piece of shit mess that it was in the original game. You know what I'm saying? It's like, I don't think it needs to be jank to be interesting. Like, I think it's more about like, because I think there's still gonna be some, based on the map design, like remembering some of the terrain design in Mass Effect 1, I don't think this is gonna be perfect. Like, I think it's still gonna be pretty jank. Generally, I think that changing the Mako more drastically than changing like a lot of other aspects of the game, I think is a good thing. Just because it's like, the old Mako can be incredibly alienating to new players. It can be incredibly frustrating. It can be time-consuming getting to where you need to be. So I genuinely think that that this is a good change. That changing the Mako will overall be a net positive for the game as opposed to a net negative, and making the game like more boring or something like that. Of course, we'll have to wait and see, but that's the way I'm looking at it for now. Unified launcher for all 3 games. Trilogy-wide settings for subtitles and languages. Updated character creator options, as mentioned above. FemShep for Mass Effect 3 is the new default female options in all 3 games. Good change. I will absolutely be playing as default FemShep for my trilogy playthrough when this game comes out. And just the idea of it being a unified character creator, I think, is great. Like, that was a huge problem with me for the original trilogy, was the character creator in Mass Effect 1 and 2 is basically the same. But when you go from Mass Effect 2 to 3, sometimes if you set your character to a parameter that like didn't exist in the third character creator, it wouldn't import. So you would have to like try and recreate it to the best of your ability, or create a new one, or just do default. And that was really frustrating. It's like, you know, we want to have like, this is a unified trilogy about one character. I want that character to look the same in all 3 games. And the fact that it couldn't in the original game was kind of frustrating. So I'm glad that that's going to be like a unified experience in the new game. So integrated weapons and armor DLC packs, integrated naturally into the game. They're obtainable via research or by purchasing them from merchants, rather than being immediately unlocked from the start. That's a balance thing. I can certainly see that. So that probably means, you know, stuff like the Maddock rifle in ME2, the Phalanx pistol, the laser sight pistol, the arc projector, stuff like that might not be available from the start. Which, I don't actually know how I feel about that. I like having that stuff from the start. I'm not sure how I feel about that. I mean, I guess like it's kind of a thing in Mass Effect 2. I remember specifically, it's like, okay, there's one weapon in each category that you get from the start, and then you unlock one more, and that's pretty much it. And then there's like a special version, like if you choose to master that particular weapon type. So giving you more stuff to unlock, you know, more akin to Mass Effect 3, I think that's actually like, I'm coming around on that. So that's pretty good. Galactic readiness. Okay, so we're talking about Galaxy at War. This is Mass Effect 3, the galactic readiness standard. When the galaxy unites, but your choices from across the trilogy lead you there and determine who fights at your side. The Galaxy at War mechanic, basically your readiness percentage. No longer impacted by external factors that aren't part of the collection, like multiplayer or the old companion app. Basically, this change is weird. Like, the more content you complete across the entire trilogy, the more likely you'll be prepared for the final fight in its conclusion. If you only play Mass Effect 3, you'll have to do just about every option available in the game to be eligible for an ending that doesn't result in massive galactic losses. Not sure how I feel about that. Penalizing players who don't play the whole trilogy or who want to mainline the story as opposed to doing every little fetch quest in Mass Effect 3. Not sure how I feel about that. I mean, I'm gonna do everything, so I don't really care that much, but like, I can see that being pretty alienating, where it's like, fuck, I have to just like go to this random planet, scan it, pick up the package, and take it back to the Citadel in order to not fuck up my ending. Like, that's a little annoying. Key moments that have been notoriously difficult to achieve in ME2 and impacted ME3 can now be completed more reliable, leading to better results in the story's final act. Okay, so that's definitely like resolving disputes between crewmates. So they make that a little bit easier. That's interesting, because like in Mass Effect 2, it is like you have to do hard line one or the other, you know, in order to really to really get all the Renegade Paragon options to unlock. Let's see. friends over at IGN put together a performance review if you want to see more from the remaster. So yeah, let's check out the IGN. Let's see, IGN Mass Effect. Who put this together? I want to give proper credit. Destin Legary. So yeah, this is Destin Legary. He does all the like performance like comparisons on IGN. Like he does a lot of the platform comparisons and stuff. So yeah, we're gonna take a look at the comparison between the original and the new game. So here, let me move myself a little bit here. Ooh, okay. Okay. There's so much to unpack here, dude. Like it still looks like Mass Effect 1, right? The cover system looks familiar. The movement looks familiar. The UI still looks pretty familiar, but you can see. Oh, hold on. I want to hear that again. So we're gonna get the sniper rifle out. That's punchy. I like that a lot. I think this looks so much better than the original. It's insane. The lighting is so much better. It's just so much more of a natural lighting, as he's saying in the thing. The weapons sound better. Like that assault rifle definitely sounds better. Like what I'm getting from the vibe that I'm getting from the weapons in ME1 Legendary Edition is basically like, for example, this assault rifle. Like, for one, you get hit markers, which you didn't get in the original, which is big. That's just like, you know, like one of those things that it's like you expect that, right? You expect, like, you know, you get that feedback when you hit somebody. Like, you know, it was a lot more like, and there wasn't a lot of cohesion to like the combat in the first game, where it's like you couldn't really tell if you were hitting somebody unless you saw their health bar going down. So it was like a little bit hard to tell. So I like that improvement. And basically, from this assault rifle, right, it feels like, at least from what I'm getting from this video, it feels a lot more like the M7 Lancer assault rifle from Mass Effect 3, like the throwback assault rifle, the one that like sounded and behaved like an assault rifle from Mass Effect 1 with the overheat and the sound. It feels a lot more like that. So like that's the vibe that I'm getting from here. It just feels a little bit punchier and it just it looks like it's going to be a lot more fun, a lot more like tactile, you know? Yeah, I like this a lot. The reticle bloom I like a lot better as well. It like, yeah, obviously blooms while you're shooting, but it doesn't take a million years to come back in. The character models look so much better! Like that's straight up, that's Mass Effect 3 Kaidan right there. That's the way Kaidan looks in Mass Effect 3. He's just got so much more detail in his face. And still seeing Mass Effect 1 FemShep in Mass Effect 3 FemShep and Mass Effect 1 is still kind of mind-blowing to me. Like, that's crazy. Like, I just never see this shit. Like, this is a very much an ME3 thing. I can't wait to play the whole series, the whole trilogy as this Shepard. It's just gonna be so much fun. Ooh, okay. Okay. There's so much to unpack here, dude. Like, it still looks like Mass Effect 1, right? The cover system looks familiar. The movement looks familiar. The UI still looks pretty familiar, but you can see. Oh, hold on. I want to hear that again. So we're gonna get the sniper rifle out. That's punchy. I like that a lot. I think this looks so much better than the original. It's insane. The lighting is so much better. It's just so much more of a natural lighting, as he's saying in the thing. The weapons sound better. Like that assault rifle definitely sounds better. Like what I'm getting from the vibe that I'm getting from the weapons in ME1 Legendary Edition is basically like, for example, this assault rifle. Like, for one, you get hit markers, which you didn't get in the original, which is big. That's just like, you know, like one of those things that it's like you expect that, right? You expect, like, you know, you get that feedback when you hit somebody. Like, you know, it was a lot more like, like, and there wasn't a lot of cohesion to like the combat in the first game, where it's like you couldn't really tell if you were hitting somebody unless you saw their health bar going down. So it was like a little bit hard to tell. So I like that improvement. And basically from this assault rifle, right, it feels like, at least from what I'm getting from this video, it feels a lot more like the M7 Lancer assault rifle from Mass Effect 3, like the throwback assault rifle, the one that like sounded and behaved like an assault rifle from Mass Effect 1 with the overheat and the sound. It feels a lot more like that. So like that's the vibe that I'm getting from here. It just feels a little bit punchier and it just it looks like it's going to be a lot more fun, a lot more like tactile, you know? Yeah, I like this a lot. The reticle bloom I like a lot better as well. It like, yeah, obviously blooms while you're shooting, but it doesn't take a million years to come back in. The character models look so much better! Like, that's straight up, that's Mass Effect 3 Kaidan right there. That's the way Kaidan looks in Mass Effect 3. He's just got so much more detail in his face. And still seeing Mass Effect 1 FemShep Mass Effect 3 FemShep and Mass Effect 1 is still kind of mind-blowing to me. Like, that's crazy. Like, I just never see this shit. Like, this is a very much an ME3 thing. I can't wait to play the whole series, the whole trilogy as this Shepard. It's just gonna be so much fun. So yeah, and here we can see, I know they're going to talk about it in a little bit, but it's like here you can see like some of the architecture changes for some of the levels. Like there was a big wall here before, and I guess they put that wall there to like prevent like, you know, from overloading the CPU, so that like, you know, because it's an older game, like so they didn't have to load the whole room at once, you know what I mean? Like they could load in like as you went around the wall. So it kind of defined the whole space, and like taking that away opens up the whole space a little bit more, which I like. Yeah, so small visual elements, like, yeah, adding cushions to the couches and shit, like, light fixtures everywhere, just a lot more lighting effects. Yeah, that big wall. That big fucking stupid wall. Yeah, so here, Mac Walters is talking about the wall. It's honestly, you know what? That's really, really smart game design. Like, I'm not, like, you know, it's goofy and weird. It's a weird solution, but like, hey man, those are the kind of shortcuts that you have to take when you're making a game. Like, you know, you need something there so that you don't have to load the whole room at once. Like, that totally makes sense. Oh, okay, I see what's going on here now. Some people are not so hot on the new UI, and I think, yeah, up here, like this strikes me as, you know, more visually distinct than this. Like this just looks like some generic ass text. So I could, okay, yeah, that's not, I'm not a huge fan of that. I wish there was some kind of like, you know, a graphic overlay on top of the text like there was in the old game, but it's negligible. Like I said, the old game still exists. It's not going anywhere. God, the Mako looks so much better. Oh, okay, and here we see the Mako in action, and I could argue it's so bouncy in the old game. I'm gonna mute it so it's like, yeah, dude, look at how bouncy it is in the old game, dude. It just looks like it has more weight to it. Like the suspension actually works. The thrusters, that's a good change for sure. And I like the new UI here. So we've got the UI details down here that I think is missing from the stuff at the top. So like, see the Thresher Maw fight a little bit, where now it's like, okay, you see there's like a trail here, so we don't have to just like, you know, guess where the Thresher Maw is gonna come up. You would have to basically look at the minimap and see like where the red dot appears in order to avoid it, which was not fun. Because insta-death if a Thresher Maw hits you is not fun in Mass Effect 1. Insta-death in the Mako is not fun in Mass Effect 1 in general. Okay, and this is like, yeah. So I'll just skip to the end of this, but basically, yeah, it takes 15 seconds to load and go through all the dialogue without skipping in the original game. In the old game, it's almost a full minute. That's a minute-long elevator ride. That's insane, dude. Okay, and here we're seeing some of the stuff that was detailed before. You can mark a bunch of stuff for, as junk, and then get rid of it all at once. This does look a little bit different. Like, the inventory, it doesn't look as confusing. Like I think, like, you know, sorting it here into Like, you know, just being able to select them over here as opposed to having to cycle through them, like, you know, with the shoulder buttons or whatever, I think makes it a little bit less confusing just to navigate. It's probably going to take some getting used to. You know, I'm very used to how this stuff works in the old game, so seeing it different is definitely going to be, like, you know, a little jarring at first. Yeah, the character models look way better, man. Just across the board, they look way more detailed and, like, way less blobby. Like, just... yeah. Outfits available in ME3 are now available in ME2. That's cool. I like that. Wearing my N7 hoodie on the ship. I like. Generally, I think... okay, if we hang on this screen for a bit... there's a lot more contrast in the new version. Like, in this, it feels like, you know, it's very, like, kind of lives in gray. Like, there's these white lights, but nothing really, like... other than Shepard and Shadow is, like, you know, in the blacks. Like, here, we've just got a lot more contrast. Like, the lights don't have as much bloom. And, like, you know, everything's got a little bit more detail. There's a lot more, like, you know, there's a lot more contrast up here in the walls and everything. Like, I think it looks way better. But yeah, so there we go. That's the breakdown of the new stuff on display in Mass Effect Legendary Edition. So yeah, we took a look at the blog. We took a look at IGN's video on the changes. And I think it all looks very, very, very good. I'm super, super, super into it. And yeah, it's just all good stuff. Like, you know, there's a couple changes that I'm not too sure about, but overall, I'm very, very happy with all the changes. And I can't wait to play this game, dude. I can't wait. In case you guys missed my trailer reaction and the announcement that I made at the end of that video, I'll reiterate it here. When this game comes out, I'm going to be streaming the whole trilogy. And there's going to be some charity aspect involved or something like that. I haven't exactly figured that out yet, but I think maybe for my run of the first game, any donations that come in, I'm going to donate to charity. And I'll have that set up. I'll make an announcement video for you guys at some point in the near future. But yeah, so that's in about a month's time. And I'm very, very much looking forward to it. Keep it tuned to TheMightyMander for more games coverage and Mass Effect stuff and fun times and video games and good stuff. So, as always, I've been TheMightyMander. I love you all very much. I'll see you all next time. Peace out, my friends.